Hello again, everybody. This is once again Don Horatio. I'm going to be bringing you Game 2 of this ASUS ROG series between QuanticSaSe and FnaticRCNightEnD. So let's get into the game. In the top left, spawning as the red Protoss player from Sweden, it is QuanticSaSe. And in the bottom right, hailing from Romania, is the blue Protoss, FnaticRCNightEnd. In Game 1, we saw both players go for a variety on Blink Observer. NightEnD was more aggressive with his, and his initial attack was denied, and Sase secured a second expansion. But NightEnD managed to get a second expansion of his own, and at the same time moved in to deny the third of his opponent, and then also the natural, which is great, some great army control, some good engagements in the middle of the map. So really good job by NightEnD in that game. We'll see if Sase can bounce back and take Game 2. So we don't see any proxy gates or anything going on right now, so without much else to talk about, I will discuss the map very briefly as I hide the replay timer, which I left open by accident. Don't want people to see how long this game goes. That would be cheating. I don't really know a whole lot about PvP on this map. It's somewhat difficult to blink into the main, so you can kind of do it. So Blink Observer is slightly less strong on this map. Certainly not nearly as strong as it is on the previous map, Cloud Kingdom, where it's so many places to blink into that main base. But here, pretty much anything is fair game. Both players putting down that gate on 13, very standard. Nothing curious going on quite yet. And we're going to wait till these players decide to slightly deviate their builds or get more into tech to see what exactly is going to go on. You have the gas going down at similar times for both players. Sase's is a bit ahead of NightEnd's, but not by any huge margin. So nothing much going on right there. We do have the scouting probe now coming out for NightEnd. Gonna look to see what he can see, and he will be able to get in fairly easily and see exactly what is up. If he's lucky, he will see a second gas timing or another building timing right as he pops in. That'd be very lucky for him. We have no scouting probe quite yet for Sase, so one thing this says about Sase's build is he thinks it's safe against pretty much anything, so you can take that make what you will out of that. We'll have to see what his build actually is, though. Second gas on the way for Sase. Still no second gas for NightEnd. He is dropping only a Cybernetics core, no second gateway quite yet. So a potential 4-gate if he does not drop this gas soon. We'll have to keep an eye out for that. You do have the second gateway here for Sase, so he looking to be doing a very similar build to last game's, probably some sort of robotics play or maybe blink into Robo. We'll have to see. A lot of gas already built up for NightEnd, though. And he does drop that second assimilator, so it's not going to be a 4-gate, but just going for that second gateway a lot later than his opponent, and that second gas a lot later, too. Which is backwards to last game, where NightEnd actually took that... actually, no, this is the same as last game, because... Yeah, what am I talking about? I guess I didn't notice the gateway timing there on the first game. Not quite as in tune to that game as I thought I was. But anyway, both going for some sort of 2-gate play, likely to get Blink or Robo very soon afterwards. I don't expect a whole lot of... We could see Phoenix play, but judging from the styles both choose to play on the previous map, I would not expect that. We do see a bunch of Stalkers on the way, which does basically discount that Phoenix play. You really want to use that gas on Phoenix early if you want to do that. So likely we'll see Blink, Stalkers, and new Robotics once again. That's basically the standard build, really, because it allows you a lot of freedom. You can choose to attack if you spy the opportunity with Blink, Stalkers, and Observers. If you feel you really can't strike at your opponent if he's defenseless or going for some sort of 2-base play. You can add on that 3rd gate whenever you want to, and also add on the robotics, and it really depends on your build how you want to really do that and how to go about it. It really depends on your strengths and what you think is strongest and what you're most comfortable with. We do have a couple sentries coming out, which is a pretty significant deviation for Sase. NightEnd still going primarily Stalkers. Does find himself a little bit supply block, but he should be fine on that. Doesn't really need to make probes right now, and his 2 gateways are currently producing his pylon to finish right on time. That 3rd gateway will be done right about when this chrono-boosted warp gate research finishes as well, so we'll look to do some 3-gate pressure perhaps, moving in with the Stalkers, and it will indeed be 3-gate pressure. A lot of this bouncing back and forth will determine how this pressure goes. There's no pylon up at the front for NightEnd, so you will not really be able to take advantage of this warp gate right off the bat. He does indeed back off. I think maybe this is just built in. The 3-gate can maybe pressure if you feel you have the opportunity to do so, especially with this pylon coming in right here. But NightEnd really playing it safe right now and not going for a whole lot, and is making a robotics facility at home. No, I'm looking at the wrong production tab. Sase is the one making the robotics facility. And the longer this goes, the better time he'll have defending, because there's no blink on the way for NightEnD quite yet. He's actually getting a robotics facility of his own. So he's behind in tech, and will be behind in econ too, as there's Nexus up. So NightEnd's got to look to strike and do some damage here in a second, or else he's in a little bit of trouble. But there are sentries up, 3 sentries, and that's a lot of force fields for our Swedish player. So NightEnd could be in a bit of a sticky wicket right here if these Stalkers can't do what he needs them to do, and they're going to look to move in a great force field right there. They divide these Stalkers in half, but some sentries are going down to look to maintain these force fields, and there they are. Not that the first 2 force fields weren't the best, but those next follow-ups were pretty good. Trying to focus down those sentries if he can. It does get 2, so he's actually out of force fields, and these Stalkers may be able to look in micro against the units of SaSe, but SaSe does have the econ advantage right now, and an Immortal finishes just in time, and SaSe should be able to hold fairly easily now, getting that defensive warp in as well. And SaSe looking in great shape here for that Immortal. I think he'll look to really deny that Immortal if he wants to do any sort of more pressure here, but I think maybe he should just fall back and perhaps try to expand or take a little bit further and go for another attack later, because this is not going to work, especially with this pile at the front to reinforce even easier. I don't know what these probes are quite doing over here at the Zealot. Probably want to send those back. I mean, I think they just got caught in the hockey here. Or maybe they're just being sent in for buffer because he knows he needs to hold this attack. The Immortal does stay alive, but he's not focusing on Stalkers like he needs to be right now. So NightEnd's trading fairly efficiently. Let's take a look at the army supply, actually. NightEnd is behind. That Immortal's at very low health, and if NightEnd can pick that off, he'd be in better shape. But a second Immortal is now finishing, being chrono boosted out by SaSe. Anyway, since that second Immortal, NightEnd will be in a bit of a sticky wicket. One force field does go down. Another second force field trying to trap those Stalkers in range of the Immortals. They're doing a pretty good job. The Zealot's buffering very well. And Stalkers are once again pushed back, and NightEnd finds himself down by about 30 supply in a very, very iffy situation right now. And even more Immortals on the way for SaSe. We do have this Nexus on the way for NightEnd. He knows this pressure really isn't going to do much more. Going to basically try and feign it and keep SaSe in his base for as long as he can. But in retrospect, this is looking very reminiscent of the last game where NightEnd went for the earlier pressure and was basically held with next to no damage against SaSe, but he did come back to take that game with some good play. But SaSe will probably look to be much more careful here after he finds himself in a very similar situation to last game. Oh crap, my beer's foaming over. Hold on, time out. Ah, sorry about that. Crisis solved, I think. As I clear my hands. I wish I had some paper towels in here, that'd be nice. Alright, I've solved the beer crisis. Don't worry. Don't worry, everybody. Alright, so NightEnd's basically fallen back to this tower, just basically seeing when his opponent moves out. This observer's going to be able to see everything. I do not believe there's an observer out yet. Oh, there is one for NightEnd. Never mind. Let's take a look at the unit count. NightEnd is one going for earlier Colossus this game. The unit count, let's just do Army Supply instead, actually. Army Supply definitely in favor of SaSe. NightEnd definitely going to be relying on these Colossus hardcore to really try and pack a punch, but he's not being followed that far behind by SaSe's Colossus research. His robotics base just started as well as NightEnd's finishes, so NightEnd will start getting those Colossi immediately, and there's the first one. But it won't be a huge advantage in the window where NightEnd has Colossi and SaSe does not. Is very limited, and SaSe has way more in the way of supporting units. He's in great shape. Once again, dropping that forge, we'll get that upgrade with the advantage with the upgrades. And NightEnd has not made a forge in either of these 2 games yet. But he's dropping down 2 more simulators, looking to get that gas for that Colossus production, maybe upgrades later on as well. Extended thermal lance on the way as well to make those Colossi very effective. This Immortal count is very daunting for SaSe. They're very good against Stalkers and Colossi if they can get up on those Colossi and within range. So that is something to certainly watch out for going forward. Sentry count here for NightEnd, he's basically just playing it safe with these, making sure that SaSe doesn't sneak into his base with a bunch of units that can take him off guard as he's making these Colossi and Immortals, which are vulnerable by themselves. And he's now starting to mass up this army at home. And where did that observer for SaSe go, actually? It must have gotten taken out. Oh, no, SaSe has 2 observers on the map. I don't know where the second one is. Oh, here it is. So he knows exactly what's going on in this base. So he sees the Colossi and the Immortals, so he knows exactly what is up. Colossi now starting to be turned out for SaSe, adding on some more gateways as well. Extended thermal lance on the way for him, as well as that +1 upgrade, which over time will give him a big advantage going forward. He may fall behind a bit Army Supply later, at least relatively, compared to how far ahead he was with that upgrade, but in the long term will definitely benefit him. And once again, going for the third base play, much like last game. And I'll see if NightEnd goes for a similar pressure like he did last game. Not pressure, it was more of an all-in, really. To really take down that third natural. And I'll have to see if he could be successful once again. And here he is moving out across the map. But Sase will have Colossi of his own and a bunch of his Zealots to really kind of soak up that Colossus fire from his opponent. So I think Sase should be in good shape to hold here in a minute. If you take a brief look at the army supplies, 70 to 50 in Sase's advantage. So it'll come down to micro a bit, but the advantage definitely on Sase's core, especially with that home field advantage. Because that Colossi delay for Sase is basically made up for the fact that the Colossi at 9 have to walk all the way across the map to be offensive. We have some Colossi battles right here. And you would think that Colossi are kind of not the most, they're kind of an A move sort of unit in like the, one would consider that, at least someone who's not Protoss would certainly think that. But in these PvP battles, it really matters how clumped your Colossi are, who gets the first shot, the concave, very important with this Colossi battles. And let's see who can get the better edge there. Some Zealots being roasted here, Nighten tries to fall back. Good force fields by, actually I don't know who did that, but they're kind of good for Nighten to start off with, but even more he's just trying to pull back, and he knows he's behind this army size. Sase is pushing forward to try and take this advantage. And Sase is in a great spot to hold on to this game. He has the army advantage, army supply advantage by about 20, and a third base on the way, whereas Nighten has nothing of that sort. And actually, third base is done. And Templar Archive's even complete as well. Don't know quite what he's going to use that for, but maybe charge a lot of Archon, because he does have charge on the way, but that could just be to support the Colossi, but potential is kind of there. Charge a lot of Archon's kind of a weird unit composition. It can be good, but I'm really not sure why this Templar Archives is here. We don't really have any Templar, but there we do have a couple moving in. Is that just for Archons or for Storm? Probably going to be for Archons, and there we go. Go to soak up some damage with those. Gotta control this talking speed. I'm losing my train of thought and breath, but so let's not do that in the future. But this army's gonna get pretty big for Sase, and this tanking will be very good against his Colossi. And let's take another look at this army supply advantage. It's actually closed up quite a bit, but the Archons will be great for Nighten. Gonna take a bunch of Colossi shots and Archon blows. And it's all about these Colossi engagements again. Like I said, it's all about the concave. So get some free shots in there before backing off a little bit more. And this is going to be a tense micro battle to see who can take this third. It's going to be very close. It's all going to come down to micro here. Sase posturing back and forth as well as Nighten. Looking to see who can get the better engagement. Going for some force fields here. The Archons will crush those force fields immediately if they walk into them, so Nighten can't really use those to his advantage. Being hit as he retreats is Nighten, losing a bunch of units. The Zealots giving chase as well. Trying to kite those is the Romanian Protoss. A bunch of low health Zealots are giving chase. But Sase's army is going to chase him straight across the map. We have a big army supply lead for Sase. He got some great shots off there with the Colossi. And he will move across the map to deny the second base and see if he can at least force Nighten up his own ramp. And one Colossi for Nighten does go down. He does need every Colossi he can. Nighten now starting that Twilight Council of his own, but it's far behind in tech. And Nighten's going to be in a very, very bad situation with the economic and army supply disadvantage as well as tech disadvantage. He is not ahead in any way right now. He might actually take off and just go for a base trade here almost. But he's definitely being caught outside of his base, and Sase should be able to cut him off. He's moving to do exactly that just now. We should have a battle here in a second. The Immortals need to look up, get some good shots. There's the engagement. The Colossi positioning is a little bit better for Nighten right now, I think. But with the army supply lead, it just might not matter. Sase's got a big army and a bunch of Zealots, and there's that GG. Nighten not able to catch up after having the failed aggression in this game. That Stalker push did not do a whole lot at the front of Sase. The force fields really did great for him, splitting apart that army of Nighten, trapping some Stalkers in the base for the Immortals to just cut apart in seconds. And just well held by Sase, holding that Nexus advantage and even holding the third in this game, as opposed to the last game. There was a very similar blueprint up to that attack on the third base by Nighten. In the last game, Nighten was able to take down that third after kind of weakening the army of Sase in the early mid game. But here, basically Sase didn't throw units away this game in mid, and therefore had a much better defensive force, was able to hold Nighten off fairly easily at that third base. And that was basically the turning point in this game, and the GG for Sase, tying the series up 1-1 in this first group stage round of the ASUS ROG tournament that took place quite some time ago. But in case you didn't watch the games, I'll try not to spoil the series results for you quite yet, and we'll move on to Game 3 very soon. Thanks for watching.